The Silence of Mine Canaries, W.S. Merwin. The bats have not flowered for years now in the crevice of the tower wall when the long twilight of spring seeped across it. As the west light brought back the colors of parting, the furred buds have not hung there, walking among their dark petals, before sailing out blind along their echoes, whose high infallible cadences only they could hear completely and could ride to take over that hour. From the swallows gliding ever since daybreak, over the garden from their nests under the eaves, skimming above the house and the hillside pastures, their voice glittering in their exalted tongue. Who knows how long since they have been seen, and the robins have gone from the barn, where the cows spent the summer days, though they stayed long after the cows were gone. The flocks of 5 kinds of tits have not come again, the blue tits that nested each year in the wall where their young could be heard deep in the stones by the window, calling "Here, here," have not returned. The marks of their feet are still there on the stone of their door's sill that does not know what it is missing. The cuckoo has not been heard again this May, nor for many a year in the night jar, nor the missel thrush song thrush white throat. The black cap that instructed Mendelssohn. I have seen them, I have stood and listened. I was young. They were singing of youth, not knowing that they were singing for us. From Alaska Quarterly Review. The Insect Collector's Demise. The Insect Collector's Demise. On mornings, it was by June Nutter. On mornings free of cloud, the insects mistake my windows for clean platters of sky, and knock against them seeking entry. Some make hardly a sound, a sand grain blown against glass, but others, butterflies, for instance, kiss a bit harder and leave behind a whiplash of dust. The mind is a jailer whose job is to wake us when we are not sleeping, and I am suddenly the child I used to be, running amok through the garden with my killing jars and my nets. A child so in love with the world that she carried pieces of it everywhere, so she would never forget. There was nothing beautiful in such dying, in such bluster and panic. My net had a mesh as soft as a stocking, and it held a scent of chemicals and breakage, a bitterness like tarnished metal. Every day there were items left behind, torn wings like scraps of propaganda, the leg of a cricket like a dropped hat pin. Forget formaldehyde and ethyl acetate, forget the suspect precarious trains, into which all collectors go for a rarer specimen. Imagine what happens to a child in that moment, when the matte black pin, thin as a horsehair, breaches a cricket's lacquered facade and passes smoothly and without resistance through the body beneath. In the killing jar, the crickets were the worst of all, their leaps against the glass, the music of someone fiddling with the small change in his pockets. What hubris, to think the insects loved their lives less than I loved mine. Each one a verb snatched from the world's mouth. This is how I grew afraid of details, of all the precisions of suffering, and fell in love with landscapes viewed from a distance, where it was everything I could not see that saved me, where, if there were animals, they were small and clean on the earth's green manicure, sunlight washing like varnish over the backs of black cattle in the fields, sheep falling to their knees to get closer to the sweetest, lowest stems of grass. And being rewarded from a distance. Each tree was a green trawl of light, too far away to hear the leaves sad, fricative of or every tiny murder in the dirt. This was a world in which even the hooves and the teeth of horses grazing under the eaves of an oak had never once hurt the grasses. There were no blast zones of pewter feathers, no flusters of corruption or scandal on the leaves' plain crockery, no ticks dug in between the jackdaw's feathers, not a single moth like a banner in the jaws of an ant. Not a single ant in the blackbird's beak. At the end of every trouble, I thought, were fields like this sunlit platforms? God's failed attempts at imagining paradise. It was everywhere I wasn't. I could step right into it and never arrive. And it was always behind me, where the grass had already shrugged off the dark kiss of my small boots. And before me wrestled the river, all purpose, no wastage. I could feel the trout's perfect fit within it, where the current grew snug on the inside curve. I had wasted my life trying to enter this promise. I will waste whatever life I have left in the inch-deep darkness of a tree's body. The egg of Inchinomina, the persuasive burglar, lies next to the egg of the wood wasp. What the world gives, the world then takes away. From the Missouri Review. Self-Esteem by Sharon Olds. They tell you it won't make much sense at first. You will have to learn the terrain. They tell you this at 30 and 50, and some are late beginners. At last lying down and walking the old earth of the breasts, the small, cobbled, plowed field of one, with a listening walking, and then the other, fingertip, stepping, divining, north to south, east to west, sectioning the little fallen hills, sweeping from mines, and the matter feels primordial, unimaginable, dense, cystic, pithistic, each breast like the innards of a cell, a its contents shifting and changing. Steam bed, gravel, under walking feet. Steam bed, gravel under walking feet. It seems almost unpicturable, not immemorial, but nearly unmemorizable. But one marches slowly through grave or fatal danger, or no danger. One feels around in the two-tack room drawers, ribs and knots like leather bridles and plated harnesses and bits and rinds and reins. One runs one's hands through the mortal tackle in a jumble in the dark, indoors, outside night, in which these glossy ones were ridden to a froth of starlight, bareback, from the New Yorker. Read Mary Oliver. All the while I was teaching in the state of Virginia, I wanted to see Gray Fox. Finally, I found him. He was in the highway. He was singing his death song. I picked him up and carried him into a field. All the cars kept coming. He showed me how he could ripple, how he could bleed. Goodbye, I said, to the light of his eye, as the cars went by. 2 mornings later, I found the other. She was in the highway. She was singing her death song. I picked her up and carried her into the field, where she rippled half of her gray. Half of her red. While the cars kept coming, while the cars kept coming. Gray fox and gray fox. Red, red, red. From 5 points. Insomnia by Linda Pastan. I remember when my body was a friend. When sleep like a good dog came when summoned. The door to the future had not started to shut, and lying on my back between cold sheets did not feel like a rehearsal. Now what light is left comes up, a stain in the east, and sleep, reluctant as a busy doctor, gives me a little of its time. From the Virginia Quarterly Review. On Mercy by Kevin Proofer. Knowing he was soon to be executed, the condemned man asked if he first might, please, have something to drink if he first might, be drunk. So the soldiers brought him a drink, and because there was no hurry, another, and one for each of them, too. Soon they were all very drunk, and this was merciful, because the man probably didn't understand when they put him to the wall and shot him. I'll marry the man who can prove this happened, the dying leaves said in their descent. I'll marry the man who looks through that window, the waiting grass tips said. But the sun went on with its golden rays like a zealous child, and the camera-eyed bees jittered mercifully in the distant branches. The man slept on the floor, and the little mouse in his head also slept. The soldiers didn't know who would drag him away, or where they should hide him, so they laughed nervously, and one offered the body a drink, a toast, then left him by the rich lady's liquor cabinet, where she'd find him when she returned from the hills. I'll marry the girl who kisses the lips and brings a breath to them. The starving horses said from their fields. I'll marry the man who pounds the chest and starts the heart, the caved-in houses said, and the window let the light in until the sun failed and the branches and, like mercy, darkness smothered the town. Later in the story, her grown son wrapped him in a parachute and dumped him in a neighbor's yard. Later, that neighbor who understood bad luck dragged the man to another's lawn, and so he traveled yard to yard to the edge of town, where at last he slept a little traveled road in a merciful ditch, while bombers unzipped the sky. And then when the town burned, he missed it. And when the treetops bloomed and charred, he missed it. I'll marry the man, the grass tips said in the hot wind. I'll marry the girl, the horses said, running from their burning barn aflame, their bodies glowing bluely in the dusk. And no one proved it happened, which was merciful for us all. The road forgotten, the man gone to root and weed, to marrow and tooth. And if it had, who would find his jawbone in the loam? Who would pick out his bullet shells and fillings like glitter in the new wood, if a man should string them like words on a golden chain, and make from them a charm, and give them to his wife? Wouldn't that be mercy too? From Field.